Hey, welcome to the Cherry Lounge podcast, a podcast covering everything us girls love to talk about in our group chats. My name is Tanisha Cherry, and I'm so pumped that you're tuning into this first episode of the podcast. This is going to be a fun time where we talk shit, get real, and most of all, have a great time. Let's get started. You guys, I feel like I'm having the best morning. My energy just feels at an all-time high today, which makes me really excited to get into the topic that we're going to get into today. Before we get into that, just to kind of describe my morning, I've meditated. I am starting day one of a 7-day cleanse. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why do I do these things to myself? But you know what? Health is wealth, and we're trying to rid ourselves of all the toxins that I've accumulated since the last cleanse, and I honestly couldn't tell you when that was. So thank God I'm working from home this week because I don't know what's going to happen in the next 7 days, but I'll keep you guys updated on my social media accounts. If you're not already following me, make sure you head to Instagram and follow me at tanisha.cherry. And then also make sure you follow the podcast Instagram page, which is Cherry Lounge Podcast. How exciting. I'm official. All right. So we're going to jump into it. So I know you guys are looking at the title of this podcast and you're like, what the heck is she talking about? So, I don't know about you guys, but I watch a lot of reality shows and, I kind of watch the blogs and stuff like that. They're entertaining to me. I don't really take it seriously, but it's just some of the stuff is funny to me. Some of the stuff is really unfortunate, but ultimately some of the stuff is funny. And something that I always pay attention to is how people become successful and how they maintain their success. How do they make smart business choices? How are they staying on top? And one thing I'm starting to think is it because some of these people consult with psychics? Now, we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I want to share with you guys my experience with going to see a psychic. So you guys are going to be the first people publicly that I even share this with. Obviously my close family and friends but I actually haven't posted about it on social media, which is kind of funny because I kind of post a lot of interesting things on there. But back in March, I went to go see a medium for the first time. It was wild. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how the hell did you end up there? Well, before you cast any judgments and you decide that this episode is not for you and that I'm going to hell, hold on. Just relax. Give me a chance. At least listen to the episode in its entirety before you come to any conclusions. So, a quick background about me and my faith and my spirituality. I grew up in a Baptist church, going to church about 3 or 4 times a week with my mom. And this is when I lived back in Miami. If you're unfamiliar with that, I did grow up in Miami for a period of time in my childhood. So I was baptized on New Year's Day of 97. And my mom had me memorizing Bible verses at a really young age. Don't ask me which verses those are because I honestly could not tell you. I just realized the other day that I'm saying the Lord's Prayer wrong. Like, what is wrong with me? Anyways, my background is Caribbean, and Caribbean people are also very religious. So, I was raised being told that tarot readings, psychics, anything magical and mythical in that realm goes against my religious beliefs. Now, as I've gotten older and in full control of my fellowship with God, I've become more open-minded. So in the last 3 years, I've been incorporating aura cleanses, new moon rituals, Reiki cleanses, and also I've started incorporating crystals into my life. Now, it's funny because back then I wouldn't have thought so, but now when I look back at the spiritual journey that I've been on for the last 3 years, unbeknownst to myself, it was a matter of time before I went to go see a psychic. So, like, girl, this was bound to happen with everything that you were doing. I brought in the new year at home by myself, working on a vision board. I believe I did some candle work, cleansing my crystals, just manifesting. And I had been saying that I'm feeling more mystical and tapped in, and my intuition is just at an all time high at the moment. So, fast forward to January 11th, my girl Catherine, aka Beachy KJ on Instagram, she posted on her IG stories that she went to see a psychic that day and that her mind was completely blown. She also mentioned that she doesn't believe in psychics prior to this experience, but her friends had been to this lady and were raving about their experience. So they talked her into doing one, and she's just like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, what's it gonna hurt? I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in divine timing, and I truly believe that story was meant for me to see. Like, she obviously felt compelled to share that she went to see a psychic. She didn't even divulge exactly what the lady told her, but she just said that this lady knew so much about her that, thoughts that have been in her head that she's never even said out loud, things that a lot of people are not privy to. So, like, it was crazy for her. So when I saw it, I was like, I need to go see the psychic. I had never had an inkling to go see a psychic or had my cards read before, but when I saw Catherine's IG story, I was like, no, I gotta go see it. Like, energetically, I feel, I feel that I need to go and do this. Like, this is something that is right for me. So obviously, after watching the story, I hit Catherine in her DMs and I asked her, like, girl, give me the details. I want to go see this lady. And I ended up booking an appointment for March 7th. I didn't know what to expect at all. Obviously, March 7th was so far from January 11th, but this lady stays booked and busy, and she works really on referrals. She doesn't advertise herself as a psychic or a tarot reader. She doesn't have like signs on her office. It's really on a need to know basis. Like, whoever needs to see her, they'll find her. So that is just, it's truly amazing. Anywho, I was really nervous about going. Obviously, I've never done something like this. I didn't know what to expect, but I just kept telling myself to leave myself open and just embrace the experience for what it is. Don't have any crazy expectations. Just go in there just being fully open and embracing it. So my mom was supposed to come with me, and a week before when I was confirming my appointment, I texted my mom and I was like, hey, don't forget, we're going to go see that psychic next week. And she's like, oh, I forgot about that. And it was high season for my mom. She has a small business, and she's like, I'm not going to be able to come because I have a lot of appointments that day. And she's like, I can move them around. And I was like, well, no, just do your appointments. It doesn't make sense. And I can't remember if it was me that suggested Leah or my mom did, but she was just like, ask somebody else, I guess, or Leah. I can't remember. Anyways, I reached out to Leah. Leah is one of my closest friends. We hadn't seen each other for a few months. We've been checking in, but we've just been both so busy at the time. And at the time, I had just came back from like Miami a few weeks prior, and I was getting ready to go to London the next month. So, we just kind of kept missing each other. So when I reached out to her to come with me, and you're probably wondering, why do you need someone to go with you? The psychic let me know that I can take notes of everything that she says during the reading, or I can bring another person there to do it for me. So I thought that would be something really great to look back on. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, I will go ahead and bring somebody with me. Why not? Now, it's funny because, and I've probably said this a lot, it's funny. There's a lot of funny coincidence that happened. When I mentioned it to Leah, she, of course, said she's down. Sure, I could do that. And it sounded familiar to her, and she ended up asking me, like, who are you going to see? And I told her, and she's like, oh, yeah, I've been to see her, so casually. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, me and Leah talk about any and everything, especially when it comes to stuff like this. And I thought it was so weird that this had never come up, that she's been to see a psychic before. And I'm like, what? Like, what? How have you never told me this before? And she's like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, that seems like something that we would talk about. And she's like, I don't know. I guess it just never came up. That's so weird. Anyways, so I was so much more happier that Leah has actually been to see this lady. And on the way there, she was just telling me, just kind of letting me know how it goes. Like, she's going to have you shuffle the cards. You're going to ask questions. So just focus your energy on the questions you're asking while you're shuffling. And she's like, just take it for what it is. Some things may not happen or seem very far-fetched. Some things may be maybe a wow moment. But she's like, just take the full experience for what it is, But everything she says isn't going to be Bible. And I was like, okay, well, that's fair. So let me tell you about something weird. So now I'm going to get into the actual appointment. So the night before my appointment, I had a dream. And, most of the time I do have dreams, but I usually don't remember them in the morning. But sometimes they stand out enough that I do remember them in the morning. So, and usually it's like some sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say a premonition, but there's some sort of message there. And sometimes I decode it, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, okay, well, that was weird, or that was cool. So this dream I had in particular the night before was a dream about my godmother who passed away, Charlene, God rest her soul. She lived in Miami, and she passed away a few years ago. And it was weird because in the dream, it wasn't her, it was her twin sister. But in real life, she doesn't actually have a twin sister, but in the dream she did. So it was a twin sister, and yeah, it was just a really weird dream because she's passed away a few years ago, and I feel bad saying this, but her death does not currently weigh very heavily on me. It's not something I think about very often. And I used to just think it's because, I moved from Miami so many years ago, and I don't know. I just felt like, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. But, yeah, I had that dream about her. So the next morning when I was pulling up, pictures to pull of like my cousin and my dad for the appointment, I came across Charlene's obituary, which I didn't even realize that I had because I didn't go to the funeral. It was in Miami, and my mom went. So I guess my mom brought me a copy for myself, but I didn't even realize I had one. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to bring this because it was weird that I had that dream last night. So when I sit down for my reading, and, she starts shuffling the cards, or I start shuffling the cards, and she's just, starting her thing. The first thing that she says is, I sense sadness over you. And there's a lady that's telling me to tell you that you're very loved. And as soon as she said that, I started getting super emotional inside. I'm just like, okay, am I about to start crying? She really said the most simplest words, but it really hit me. And she's like, she wants you to know that in those times that you're feeling alone, that she's always with you. She's always watching over you. You know how people refer to guardian angels? She is yours. And she starts describing her, first her initials, her zodiac sign, which is a Gemini. And what else did she say? Just her personality, that she's like the life of the party. She's very boisterous. She has a strong energy. She's just really, her vibrations are just very positive. And I start thinking of Charlene, and it's crazy because I was telling Leah about the dream on our way there. And, I didn't tell this lady anything about myself. So the fact that she did that as an introduction into our reading, I thought, first of all, I wholeheartedly believe now that, Charlene is always with me. And I was like, maybe that's why I feel almost at peace with her passing, because I know that she's good. And I know that I'm not alone because she is here. Even in those moments, where in life I'm just like, I feel totally alone and stuff like that. But, maybe there's a sense of peace on the back end, and comfortability. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling, but I'm just trying to walk you guys through the emotions I was going through. So I feel like it was almost like, I was destined to start with that part of the reading to really fully open me up and remove any sort of skepticism that I may have had. And I didn't feel like I had any, but if I did have any lingering, I feel like that was the way to fully open me up. That's kind of heavy. Now, throughout the reading, she had me ask questions, shuffling the tarot cards for answers. Some of the things I asked about is my career and my finances. I wanted to get the most out of this experience, so I was very specific. I asked her about this podcast, and the podcast at the time, it was just an idea, you guys. Like, I had no equipment, I hadn't started recording anything, I hadn't done anything except purchase the domain of the name because I really liked it. But at the time, honestly, it was really just an idea. So I was specific in asking her, is Cherry Lounge Podcast, is that the right name? Should I start now or later? Should I cover pop culture, influencer marketing? Should I talk about my personal life? And, she told me to lead with pop culture, And she's like, you'll be able to transition the other things into it. But she's like, I feel like that should be like your leading point. So everything that I've settled on regarding this podcast and some of the decisions I've made in my personal life is honestly based on what the card said and how strong of an energy she got from it. So obviously the reading, there was a lot more that we spoke about, and I'm not going to get into it at this moment. Maybe throughout the episodes, like I'll bring up little things. But overall, I felt really good about the reading. I felt like there was a weight lifted. There was a weight lifted off of my shoulders, and I just felt good, It wasn't a situation where in the movies you see people with a crystal ball and like a cauldron in the back and they have like a witch's cape or something. None of the theatrics, honestly. It was a very comfortable office. It was a normal office building. She had a few crystals out. She had a small, cute little dog, and she just had a really warming energy about her. So I felt really good. Would I go do it again? Absolutely. So I've been researching about psychics since then, and I've started to notice on a lot of the reality shows that I watch how much the reality stars, especially these are people that have money, have wealth, I guess, and how much they consult with psychics for business decisions, their romantic life. Some of them are a little excessive and on a day-to-day basis. But I've started to notice it a lot more. And I'm just like, wow. So I started doing a little research on, bigger celebrities who consult with psychics. And I didn't realize so many of them did. And it's crazy because at first, you can be, you can assume that only like a certain crowd of people do that. But honestly, it seems like a lot of people are really tapped into mediums, psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, as well as crystals as healing devices in their life. And I'm starting to realize it more and more. And I feel like this is where, the psychic even told me, she's like, you're an old soul, you're very intuitive, that is going to heighten in the next, I don't know if she said throughout this year or over the years. I don't remember that part, but she definitely said that I'm a very intuitive person. So I've started to, notice this amongst A-list stars and public figures and powerful, successful people. So I've always been a firm believer that, public figures, they're privy to information and resources that keep them on top. Like, that's just a fact. And it's not just about money, but it's the information that they're gaining in their inner circles, One person knows something, they share with another person and another person, whether it's a business opportunity, a new skincare treatment, a plastic surgeon, whatever the case is, And we've all heard the saying that it's not about what you know, but who. And when I think that saying, I'm thinking and I'm translating that as it's about who you know and what they share with you, Because it's not just about who you know, it's what information do they have and what are they going to share with you. So it's been reported that stars like, Brad Pitt, Chelsea Handler, Naomi Campbell, Jennifer Lopez, Gaga, and even Rihanna have apparently sought out psychics throughout their life for their career, and just seeking overall insight and reassurance on what direction they should be taking. So, thinking about all this made me wonder, are psychics the new life coach? Like, is that it? Are people doing not only seeing therapists, but, are they lumping psychics in that also? Is this one of the industry's secrets to maximizing financial aspects? And this is where, my mind started really racing, because personally, when I think about it, I think so. Now, I'm not telling you guys to go run out and get a psychic to be rich in life and be successful, but I'm just sharing with you guys my personal experience and letting you know that it's okay to go outside of your realm of what you've been taught and shown. Do whatever your heart desires. If you want to go see a psychic, then go see one. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, some psychics have been, changing their job descriptions as, like, intuitive business strategists. Like, what the heck does that mean? You're a psychic medium that specializes in helping business people. Like, I guess. But yeah, I think it's something interesting to try. Definitely, if it's not your jam, then that's okay. What may work for one person, it may not be so hot for the next, and it's okay. But spirituality and beliefs are personal. And I think that we need to remember that as a society, it's personal. It's between you and whatever or whomever you believe in. It's not up to other people to cast judgment and say that you're doing it wrong, because it's, first of all, it's no one's business. And second of all, they don't know. They do not know, I don't feel like you're sitting in a room talking to God and God is telling you, you need to make sure they're reading their Bible. You need to, like, I don't think that's what's happening, I think it's really cool that people look to spiritual healers and psychics for guidance, because when I think about it now and I've gone through my experience, I just look at it like, why wouldn't you? They are tapped into a side that you may necessarily not be tapped into. And they may see and feel things that they can help you make better choices, And it doesn't always have to be about money. It could just be making you happier, more fulfilled, maybe setting you on the path to finding your next love of your life, if you believe in having multiple. So why wouldn't you? Like, it sounds pretty cool. I don't know. Anyways, so after visiting the psychic, I just felt very decisive on what I'm going to focus on moving forward, and just feeling more confident that this is the right move, because I've definitely been experiencing a lot of imposter syndrome since I've started doing the whole social media stuff. And unfortunately for me, it's really made it hard for me to be consistent on the platform and, really show off my full personality. I show quite a bit of it on social media, but like full scope of my personality and who I am as a person and what I've experienced in life, I feel like, imposter syndrome has really held me back. Even with starting my YouTube channel, like, it took me forever. I had that vlog camera, you guys, for more than a year, and I was recording content over and over, and I just did not feel confident with the content that I was recording. And then I had people like, making fun of the fact that I was always recording and I hadn't posted anything, and that I wasn't delivering quick enough for them. But honestly, I was going through an internal battle in my own mind, feeling that I couldn't do this. Instead of receiving loving support and positive support of, like, girl, I want to see a blog, like, you've been capturing so much great content, or there's so much great things you can share, like, people will love it, like something like that, as opposed to, oh, you're always recording and you have yet to post a video. And that's really discouraging. And it is, don't be one of those people. You don't know how people are, judging themselves, and to hear another person on the outside say that, it's really hard. And I was never someone that used to put a label on it. I never thought it was a thing. I just thought that it just was not the right time. But mental health is very prevalent at the moment, and there's a lot of terms that we're starting to become educated on. And imposter syndrome is one that hits home for me. So after going to see the psychic, imposter syndrome is always going to be there. You know, she's never going to go away. She's a bitter bitch. She's a bitter, basic bitch that is on my shoulder. That's always going to be there. But it's up to me to tell her, like, girl, be quiet. You can't hate from, like, how you hating from outside the club? Be quiet. You just jealous. You mad, you know? And it's not something that always goes through my head, but it's always like a little voice in the back of my head. And sometimes she's quiet and sometimes she's a little loud. But after going to see the psychic, I just felt more confident, and I felt like it was the right move, you know, like nothing bad is going to happen if you go after these ventures, if you try these new things, if you share more about yourself, if you shoot content yourself, if you edit it yourself. Like nothing bad is going to happen, you know. In fact, you're going to feel happier that you did. It's going to add on to everything that you're wanting to accomplish, you know. So one of those things that, you know, I wanted to focus on moving forward was this podcast. The psychic told me, you don't have time to wait, like start it right away. And obviously my appointment was back in March. I'm recording this now in May. Obviously I still took some time, but I did it a lot quicker than I probably would have in the end. So cheers to me for finally doing it. And I'm so happy recording my first episode. You guys, I've literally recorded the same first episode 3 or 4 times, and I promise you this is the one that is going up. Okay, I've had to pause it several times to burp. I shouldn't have probably had a cold glass of water with lots of ice before I started recording this, but I don't know what it is about recording this podcast. Maybe it's just talking nonstop by yourself and taking in all of these breaths, and that, I don't know, I have to keep pausing to burp. But anyways, Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys joining me on this first episode of the Cherry Lounge podcast. Yay! Clap, 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 clap. Don't have a studio audience yet. Please subscribe and leave me a 5-star review. If you've gone to see a psychic, I'd really love to hear about your experience. If it's something that you're going to continue doing, and if you want to share what they said to you that like was the aha moment for you, then absolutely. If not, that's totally fine. You can DM me on Instagram at Cherry Lounge Podcast or my personal account, Tanisha.Cherry. I just hit 10K. Like, I'm so excited. Anyways, and as a bonus, if you post that you're listening to this podcast on your IG stories, I'll repost you guys. And, you know, as we keep recording these these episodes, you know, I'll eventually start doing random giveaways where I just send you guys stuff. So repost, share, go ahead and give me a 5-star review. Let me know what you think of this episode. I'm so happy to be doing this with you guys, and I'll talk to you on the next episode. Bye.